Hey everybody, welcome back to the Harmonious Path with Jen. So last week we talked about setting goals and breaking them down into bite-sized manageable chunks. And next week we're going to talk about creating a personal mission statement and why that's important, which is all going to lead up to the workshop that I'll be offering on December 14th at 6 p.m. Central Time. It's a Monday, and it's called Improving the What by Managing the Why. And that's where we'll talk about why it's so important to know why you set your goals and why you're doing the things that you do. And we'll have some exercises to work through, and we'll have some discussion and figure that out live time in about 2 hours. So if you're interested in that, the link is down below in the description bar. And now let's just get right into this week's topic. So this week we're going to talk about finding the time to work on your goals and creating a schedule that works for you. I know a lot of us, probably most of us, have a tendency of kind of running around like a chicken with its head cut off, going, oh my gosh, I don't have time. I'm so busy. I can't fit it all in. There's not enough hours in the day. How am I ever going to get this all done? Much less work on this extra side project or goal or, whatever it is that you're wanting to get done. Now, do you really know where you're spending all your time, though? I'm going to hazard a guess that if you're anything like me, you have a lot more time than you realize, and a lot of this time is being spent on insignificant things like social media, YouTube or TV or Netflix or little game, well, I play little silly games on my phone, but it could be, video games. Whatever your kind of time waster is, I'm going to guess you spend a lot more time on it than you realize. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is to track all of your time. And I know this is a little tedious. I've done this myself several times throughout my life. And yes, it's tedious, but it is absolutely worth it. And you don't have to do this forever. I'd recommend doing it for about 2 weeks to really get a good idea of what a day in your life really looks like and where are you really spending your time. So track everything. Time you're on social media, time you're grocery shopping, time you are helping your kids with homework, preparing dinner, online shopping, playing game, whatever it is, track absolutely everything that you're spending your time on. And if you have a phone with the feature that also tracks your time, I recommend checking that as well. I know on the iPhone it's called Screen Time. I'm not familiar with Androids, but I'm going to guess they probably have a similar feature. And it will tell you exactly how much time you spent on each one of your applications. So this gives you that really good reality check of how much time are you spending on social media. Because you might think in your head, oh, I just scrolled for maybe a half hour today. And in reality, it may have been more like an hour or two. So be sure to check that as well. Now, after you have tracked your time for a week, set aside an hour that Sunday evening or afternoon or Saturday, whatever's going to work for you. Set aside an hour of time that you can review your time tracking, see where you're really spending your time, what activities you can clear out of your days so that you can create more time for useful, fulfilling things, and then create a schedule for the next week. So first off, look at where you spent all your time. How much did you really spend on social media and all those little things that don't really get us anywhere in life? Probably a lot more than you realized. I know when I did this, it was pretty eye-opening. Now, don't beat yourself up. Everybody, not everybody, but, a lot of people these days are really addicted to the doom scrolling. Don't beat yourself up about it. Now you know where you're spending your time, so you can start making adjustments. So I would suggest setting a limit. Most phones will allow you to do this, and decide how much time do you want to spend on social media or whatever app it is that you want to spend less time with. And go slow. So if you're spending 2 hours a day, maybe just set the limit to 1 hour and see how that goes. When I first did this, I set it to an hour and I hit that limit almost every day without fail. And what it will do is it'll warn you, hey, you're at your limit, and then you can choose to ignore it. So you're not going to be locked out of your apps for the rest of that day. It's just that reminder of, hey, you're at your limit. Do you really want to keep going? So that's where I started. And now I have managed to get my time down to about 10 or 15 minutes a day of just random mindless social media scrolling. I know that's 10 to 15 minutes. That sounds crazy, but it's been really cool. I mean, there are times when I pick up my phone, I'm like, what was I doing? No, I don't need to do that. And I just immediately put it back down. And part of how I did this is by ruthlessly pairing my social media feeds. I stayed friends with everybody on Facebook, but I unfollowed a lot of pages, a lot of people that just don't really add anything to my life, and tried to just keep the more inspirational or, the occasional funny things that are going to be uplifting to me. So that's some ideas on, just really in a nutshell of how to start minimizing your social media time. So the next thing you're going to do is create your schedule for the coming week. So first off, fill in everything that is pre-scheduled and has a set time, your work hours, any appointments that you might have, anything like that, fill it in. And then you're going to block off all the other activities that you do that don't necessarily have a concrete time, but do have a pretty general, like dinner. We tend to eat dinner around the same time most evenings. For me, I walk my dogs when I log off work every day. So, fill in all those things, helping your kids with homework, exercising, reading, anything you tend to do routinely, fill that in, block it off, and then you're going to see where you have free time. And that's where you can start filling in time to work on your goals. So last week we broke it down into a bunch of little tiny manageable snippets. So get that list of all those little steps you need to do. And as you have empty time in your schedule, plug some of those in and just start working on it little by little. And as you're creating your schedule, be sure that you include an hour at the end of the week to do another review, and also include about 15 to 30 minutes every evening to look at your schedule for that day. This is just for the beginning phases because it's going to take quite a few tweaks most likely for you to find the schedule that works for you. So every evening, just sit down for 15, 30 minutes, update your schedule, fill in where did you actually spend your time, adjust things that you had already blocked off that you may have spent more or less time on, fill in the things that popped up that you hadn't written down. Make sure that the day is accurately reflected. And then compare that to your next day. Do you need to make any tweaks? So if you do, go ahead and make those tweaks for your next day. And then you're going to do this for about another week or two. You're going to go through a lot of tweaks. You might not even have a perfect functional schedule by the end of that time, but you're going to be a lot better off than you were when you started. So I track my time all the time. It helps me. It's just very helpful for me to track where am I actually spending my time. And I use color coding so I can really see at a glance, what am I doing? Where do I need to spend less time? Where do I need to spend more time? And it helps me to see patterns and helps me to figure out, like I just said, what I need to do more or less of. So I do this all the time. You don't have to, because I know that can be pretty tedious for some people, or or if you just want to track kind of generally and do a broad overview. Do what works for you. That is my big theme in pretty much everything I'm ever going to talk about. Is I'm presenting to you ideas of things that work for me, things that I know work for other people, but tweak it, adjust it, throw it out the window entirely. Do what works for you, especially with goal setting and planning your time and scheduling. That is so important. And just stick with it, because it can be, when you first start off doing this, going down a planner path, tracking your time and really trying to have a productive schedule that enriches your life, it can take a lot of time to really figure it out. So just don't get frustrated. Just keep making little tweaks here and there. So now I'd like to share with you my planner and how I use it. So I've been using a Passion Planner for, next will be in 2021 will be my 5th year. And that's actually a little sticker that I put on it. It actually says Passion Planner underneath there. So this is my new 2021 planner that I haven't done anything with except stick that sticker on. And then I'm going to warn you, I am a sticker addict. I love decorating my planner, so it gets really crazy sometimes. So don't get overwhelmed by that. You don't have to decorate your planner at all. Just a bare bones paper planner with a black pen, maybe a couple highlighters for color coding your time if that's your thing. You don't have to do what I do. So bear that in mind and just take it for the creative madness that it is. So this is my planner for this year, 2020. And I decorate every week. I use a lot of stickers, a lot of washi tape, and it is thick. I mean, compared to a fresh one, check that chunky baby out. So I am going to show you some of the spreads. A spread is basically just a page or 2 pages that is used for a specific purpose. It's fancy terminology from the planner community, which, by the way, if you are interested in this kind of thing, there is a massive planner community on YouTube. So just search for that and you will find so many videos and examples of ways people use their planners that can also be really helpful, because how I use mine is just one way and it might not work for you at all. So just look around and get other ideas from other people and explore and experiment. So I am going to switch over to the top-down camera so I can more easily show you what is in my planners, and I will be back in just a minute. And I'm back. So I'm going to start with the 2021 planner because I have not touched it yet other than to put this sticker on it. And beneath the sticker, it just says Passion Planner and it's in the same color as the rest of the cover. Other than that, I have not touched this yet, so it'll be the best way to give you an idea of how the weeks look before I have attacked it with stickers and washi tape and you name it. So let's just open up to one of the weekly spreads. Just open to a random one. I'm hoping that this won't shake too much. I had some technical difficulties trying to film this. I've never filmed a top-down video before, so I don't really have the right equipment yet. So I hope this turns out all right. All right, so here is the bare, unadorned, pristine weekly spread. So at the top of every day, it has today's focus, which is the one thing that you need to work on most that day. And then it has the hourly timelines, a half hour from 6 a.m. down until 10:30 p.m. And like I said, this was one of the main requirement of a planner when I was looking for one initially, because I know that I need to track my time in fairly good detail. Half hour timelines are really good for me. So that was my number one requirement. And then off to the side here, it has a this week's focus and good things that happened. And then it has a quote and a little action step. So this week, for example, is put your heart, mind, and soul into even your smallest acts. This is the secret of success. From Swami Sivananda. I hope I said that right. And then the action step is challenge yourself to be extra mindful in everything that you do. Notice the sights, sounds, and feelings of the world around you and give all of your tasks your full attention. So some weeks that really resonates, other weeks it's just kind of, oh, okay, that's nice. And then I, just leave it. But it's a nice little addition. And then it has a personal to do and a work to do. And then the space of infinite possibility, where you can just write anything that you want to, doodle, draw, whatever you want to do with it. So now I am going to move over to my 2020 planner to show you how I use the weekly spread. So this is my 2020 planner, the one I'm currently using. It is much more battered and well used and quite thick from all the stickers and washi that I have put in it. So let me just open you up to the week that I will be using next to show you how my weeks look from the very start. So the first thing that I do with my weeks is I put these stickers down on my work hours of my day job because I do not use this planner for my day job. So I like to put cute little fun stickers there to block it off and show that the time has been taken by an activity, but also add some fun and cuteness to make it just more cheerful to look at. And then I block off any pre-planned things that are going on. So this is a pretty light week. Hard to tell with all my washi, but as far as pre-scheduled events, I only have 3. And these are some after hours work validations that I have to do to make sure things are still working. So I've got those blocked off with a sticker. And then I lay down my washi tape. And that is for tentatively blocking out time for things that I do every day or need to do. And the reason I use washi instead of pen is, like I said, I like to track my time. So if something shifts a little bit, a half hour here, this way or that, I like to go back, peel the washi off because it comes off very easily, and then fill in ink and highlight in the actual time that I did the thing. And also because right now I'm currently working on figuring out a schedule that works for me. Having gone from pandemic couch potato to essentially working 2 jobs has been a bit of an adjustment. And to start with, I went totally gung-ho and kind of overwhelmed myself a little. I was trying to work on my coaching business almost every single day, which is way too much. I mean, nobody even works their day job every single day. That's why we have weekends. So starting this week, I'm experimenting with just doing 2 days during the week and 1 day in a bigger chunk on the weekend. So that is these orangey spots here. And that's not to say, I might work on it more Saturday. I might also work on it Sunday. I don't know. That's not to say that I can't work on it if I feel really inspired to. But it means that these are the times I really need to work on it. And the other days, if I don't feel like it, I don't have to. I don't need to stress myself out to do this every single day. And so after that, the days that I'm not working on my business, I've blocked out these times for deep inner work. So right now I'm doing some really deep inner child work. And, this might also be shadow work depending on where I am and what I'm exploring at the time. But this is something that, again, it's not only these days that I will work on it. I can work on it more. But I want to make sure that I have some time set aside pretty much in stone because this is really important work to me to be doing. And I want to make sure that it doesn't get overlooked in the craziness of life. So the other things that I have blocked off are walking my dogs after work and dinner time for all 3 of us, Tiberius, Emmy, and myself. And then the last one is my screens off time. So that is my reminder to turn my screens off at 10 o'clock. I struggle with sleep so badly. If you stick around later in the video, I'm going to show you my back pages and you'll get a quick glance at my sleep hours chart. I track how many hours I sleep and put it in a graph. It's horrible. So I'm just starting to try. I've done this in the past and it worked well, and then the pandemic hit and life went willy-nilly out the window. So I'm trying again to have a really strict 10 o'clock screens off time. That doesn't mean I necessarily go to bed at 10 o'clock. Chances are I won't, but that means I turn my screens off. Maybe I put on some soft, soothing music. I do like to sleep with binaural beats or rain sounds or river streams, just something background noise. So I'll turn that on. And then I can do my nighttime skincare routine, brush and floss my teeth, read a book for a little while, whatever it is that is not on a screen, that is, analog. And usually on the weekends, I don't give myself a screens off time because I am a night owl and I do feel so much more creative and productive later at night when the world is quiet. So weekends, I'll usually let myself stay up later. But because I have this 7 a.m. validation Saturday morning, it is screens off, 10 o'clock Friday night. So, what else? That is it for this part. So then I currently don't use the This Week's Focus box, so I just made a sticker that is bigger to cover that area so I have more space to write my good things that happened. I also did not need this much space for my personal and work to-dos, so I made a sticker to just block off some lines for that. Personal and harmonious path. And then I have my mental health sticker, so I do deal with depression and anxiety sometimes, depression more often these days. So it's good for me to track my mood every day and see what my trends are. So I track how much sleep I get and what my mood was, and then I have space for notes if there was anything that might have lent to an unusual mood, either an exceptionally good day, although that would probably go on my good things list. But if I had a bad day, what happened? Was I fighting some depression? Was I stressed out at work? What was going on? It helps me to analyze and see how things affect my mood and therefore my life. And then I have my daily habits. So before I talk about this, I want to give a warning about tracking daily habits. When I first started tracking my daily habits, it very quickly turned into a phenomenal tool for beating myself up. So what would happen is I would get to the end of the week and I would see that there was a woeful amount of boxes left unchecked. And rather than use that as a helpful tool, I would look at that and just beat myself up and say, oh my gosh, I'm such a lazy slob. Why didn't I do anything? What's wrong with me? Totally demotivating. And I went on with this for a pretty long time, a really long time. And I finally retrained my brain to look at this as a tool to analyze. So while in a perfect world, I would like to check off every box every single day, that's probably not going to happen. There might be a few things here and there that just get missed. So now what I do is if I have a lot of things that I didn't check off that week, I'll look back at my week and say, why is that? Was I fighting depression? Was I really busy and stressed out at work and I just didn't have time in the evenings to really dedicate to myself? Or, what's going on? So that is very helpful to help me see trends in my mood and how things affect me as well as to build daily habits. These are things that are very helpful to me. Waking with my alarm. Again, night owl. Hate mornings. So that is actually a thing that I have to work on rather than hitting the snooze button half a dozen times. My fruits and veggies, that's something that I'm building into my routine. So this list will change as time goes on, as things do become ingrained and I don't need to track it anymore, or something shifts and I realize I don't need to do this anymore for whatever reason, or whatever. So, it's not a set in stone, it's a tool. Except for the ones at the bottom, that's the supplements that I need to give Tiberius and Emmy, so that one's set in stone. But the other way I will use this is if there is one item that I routinely don't check off. So let's say I'm doing almost everything except for one little thing. Why am I avoiding it? I can see that trend by doing this and say, okay, I've got this down there. I'm doing pretty good, but why am I avoiding this particular item? Is it something that is too big and I need to break it down into a smaller piece to work on? Is it something that just doesn't resonate with me? Like I saw somebody else doing this online and it looked like a really nice habit, so I'm going to add that into my life. But you did it just because, it looked whatever, or it seemed like it would be nice, but it really didn't gel. So I can look at that and analyze it and see where I need to make tweaks. So that's really, really helpful to me. So just be careful if you do track your daily habits. Use it as a tool to analyze where you are having patterns. Don't use it to beat yourself up. So the last thing that I'm going to talk about for this little section is this blank part here. So a Post-it note fits perfectly, like the standard 3x3, I guess it is, just fits perfectly here. So while I do have my to-do list over here, these are items that I need to get done this week. But I also have items that are longer term or don't need to be done immediately, but I don't want to lose track of them. So rather than like rewriting them in a list every single week or having them off somewhere else, what I do is I just write them on a Post-it note, stick it right here, and then I can just transfer it from week to week and cross things off. And once I cross off a bunch of items, then I might rewrite it to make it, easier to see at a glance what needs to get done. So on there, I will write items that need to get done in the near term, items that need to get done eventually. Maybe there's really no set timeline, but it would be really nice to get it done for whatever it may be. And then I'll also write someday items. Like right now, I have not had a lot of time to craft for myself. I've been, making some journals for people for Christmas and things like that a little bit, but I have projects that I want to work on for myself. So I'll write down, themed junk journals that I want to work on just for myself, or rearranging a particular area of my room or my house. That doesn't have to get done by any particular date, but it's something sometimes I would like to do. So that's really helpful to keep track of those long-term items. So that is it for the weekly part that pertains to the topic we're talking about this week. So if this is all you wanted to watch is the weekly part, you can absolutely click off now. My feelings will not be hurt at all. But if you are a planner geek like I am and you want to stick around and see how I use the rest of my planner, we'll get to that in just a minute. But if you're going to click off, that is absolutely fine. I thank you for your time and indulging me in this little planner walkthrough because I love this kind of thing. And if you have a channel or an Instagram and you do planner walkthroughs, let me know because I love seeing this kind of stuff. So remember the workshop, Improving the What by Managing the Why, which will be on December 14th at 6 p.m. Central Time. That is a Monday, and it will be held via Zoom. So thank you again. And if you want to leave or if you want to stick around, we'll get right to the rest of my planner. Okay, so if you're still here for the full Passion Planner walkthrough, let's just get right down to it. So it starts with the if found information, and then it has a couple of pages with information about the planner, the Passion Planner company, how to use this planner, and then it goes to the Passion Roadmap, which is what I was talking about last week about mind mapping. So you can absolutely just do it in a list on a sheet of paper. You don't have to lay it out in this little, kind of diagram type of format. But I do enjoy this. So I'll actually start by writing mine in a list on paper, and then I'll kind of copy it over into different colors and make it really pretty and draw my eye to it when I'm flipping through. And that just makes me, want to look at it more and remind myself more often of what I want to do. So it's got your full mind map, or passion roadmap as they call it, of the 3 months, 1 year, 3 years, and lifetime, or whatever time frames work best for you. And then on this page, it has for the one game changer that is going to have the most impact on you right now. Then it has the standard kind of year at a glance for 21 and 22. And then it's got the monthly spread, which is really nice. It's got this month focus, people to see, places to go, things to learn, personal and work projects, and then break it down, create a mind map of this month's game changer. So I'll be honest, I currently don't really use these pages. The weekly pages are more helpful to me, so I will decorate this every month, but I don't really refer to it very often, so it's more of just a creative outlet for me right now, but I do experiment a little bit. I'm starting to try and play with using it as my social media tracker with my business and things like that. So, if I don't use it, that's okay, because I absolutely use the rest of the planner to its fullest. And then it has the weekly pages, and then at the end of every month, it has these reflection questions. And I won't read them all to you, but I'll call out a couple that are really related to what we've been talking about with goals and breaking it down and setting your priorities. So one that I really enjoy is review your planner for the past month and assess your priorities. Are you happy with how you spent your time? And if not, what steps can you take next month to adjust? And also name 3 things you can improve on this month, and what concrete actions can you take to work towards these improvements. So these are really nice kind of monthly reflection questions to just review. And I've also played with like dividing it into 4 squares and doing it each week instead of every month, which I also enjoy and keeps it a little more timely and helps you not forget things. But, do what works for you. I go back and forth. And sometimes I will just write really little and fill in this entire 2 pages. Sometimes I'll just write a few words. Sometimes it might just be 1 word. So use it as it works for you. Don't get intimidated by how many lines are here. And then it also has a mid-year roadmap so that you can do this exercise again and review your priorities and your dreams and your goals, and see if they still resonate. Are there any areas that you need to make adjustments in? I really recommend reviewing this periodically. Really, once a month to review your main ones that you're working on can be really helpful. So this is nice to have it as a visual reminder of, hey, it's time to review what your goals are and see if they still resonate. And then at the end of the year, it has an end of year reflection. And a lot of the questions are similar to the monthly, but one that I really, really love is, what advice would you give yourself at the beginning of the year? I think that's a new one, or I don't remember that one from the past. I'm not sure, but I really love that question. I'm really excited to get to that one this year. So now I am going to switch over to my 2020 planner and show you how I use some of the back pages. Okay, so I track a lot of things, and I'm kind of a nut, as I've already mentioned, so I do swatches of all my pens and highlighters and markers just so I can see what they look like when I'm trying to match a color to a spread for a week. And honestly, this isn't even, it's most everything, but it's not everything. I also have colored pencils that I do not and probably will not swatch in here. Then I have address book pages. I printed this from Chelsea Brown Designs. I'll try to remember to link that below, because if you use a passion planner, oh my gosh, her stickers are amazing. They are so quality and so useful. She also does a couple of other planners that I can't remember offhand what other planners she makes stickers for, but I will link her Etsy shop below. But obviously I didn't use this. It's more useful for me to have my addresses and phone numbers digital, so I'm not going to be using this again in 21. And then I have reading and listening for my coach training. It's just 1 page, and then the rest of it is additional resources. So then of the dot grid pages, I am not going to show you the first one because it's my finance tracking, and that's just a little too personal and don't need that on the internet. But you can see, you can probably get an idea that I have all my different categories of things that I track that I spend money on, like utilities, gas for my car, food, dog supplies, vet visits, and then I also track things like clothing, makeup, craft supplies, witchy supplies. I try to break it down as much as I can so I can really see where am I spending my money. And then I also use mint.com to aggregate my transactions and then do some spreadsheet magic to add it all up. So then I'll just transfer it all into here. And then I'll highlight the categories where I spent too much money that month so that I know where do I need to be more mindful and where do I need to spend less. And then I have my year in pixels, which is how I like to trance my mood at a glance. So once every month or so, I will go through and copy from my weekly back here and just color in, which really lets me see how am I doing and see trends, which is so helpful because since I've been really doing this and really paying attention to it, I can see that about every 6 to 8 weeks, I tend to have a downswing in my mood. And it's helpful for me to know that that's a pattern for me because when it happens, now I can recognize that and say, and look back and say, oh yeah, it's been about 2 months or, however long. It's been about 6 weeks since I've had a downswing. I'm due one. And I know that it usually lasts just a couple of days. So it's a lot easier for me to see that and know that and accept it and just flow with it rather than fighting against it and trying to force myself to be productive through it and to do all the things, which just makes it worse and makes it drag on even longer. So that really helps me. I also like to track my daily tarot draws. So I don't do this every day, again, obviously, either by choice or because I forget or by choice, meaning if I did a larger draw or a larger spread or something like that. But this is helpful for me to keep track of so-called stalker cards when the same card keeps coming up repeatedly. So I can see, is there some kind of theme going on? Is there something that I need to be looking at more closely or analyzing more closely? And then I track my sleep so I can see just absolutely how atrocious my sleep schedule is. So don't judge. I'm a night owl who works a day job, which is a struggle. So that's a thing. And then I have my when did I last? And this is the first year I used this and I really like it. So I've got, health specialists that I need to see, self-care things that some of them just didn't happen because of the pandemic. Fun, again, going out, pandemic, people I need to talk to, or not need to, but want to, that maybe sometimes I just don't make the time as much as I'd like to. So that's always nice to remind myself. And then some of my more deep cleaning, like windows, ceiling fans, things like that. Then I track the books that I read, and if I have notes, if I had highlighted or took notes, I'll check that off so I can know to go back and look at that. Podcasts, didn't get around to tracking it. Doesn't mean I didn't watch them because I sure as heck did in spades. So I'm going to try this again next year, but I think the plan is going to be not to track every single episode that I watch, but just key ones that have really interesting information that made me think and I might want to share with somebody or go back to later on, or something I want to ponder more deeply. So I'm going to experiment with that some more in 21. Movies that I've watched and TV shows. Again, pandemic couch potato. I don't typically spend this much time in front of the TV, but this year was, everybody knows this year was a shit show. And then I have another spread that I never finished. The plan was to have, I've got the 12 penciled out for each month to list birthdays of friends and family, maybe some gift ideas. Just never got around to filling this in. So I might try this again next year. I might not, just something fun, but we'll see. And then finally, I have my Christmas cruise tracking of expenses that I needed to save money for, my packing list, things I needed to do before we left. Kind of bummed because I was going to be on a cruise ship in the middle of the Caribbean Sea on Christmas Day with my parents, but that's okay. We're safe, we're healthy, that's what matters. Cruises will hopefully still be around in future years that we can do this. So that is how I use my planner. And let me know what you think of this. I know a lot of people on YouTube are planner geeks like I am, so if you would like to see more planner videos from me, let me know. I'd be happy to share more if you want to have maybe a monthly walkthrough, or just let me know what you want to see. And until next time, be kind to yourself and those around you, and let your light shine for all the world to see. Bye.